Hello, friends. I want to talk to you about Blue Oyster Cult. That's right, Blue Oyster Cult. You thought I was getting into the old stuff, talking about the 80s so much. I'm gonna take us back to the time of the troglodytes, the 70s. Blue Oyster Cult is a band that everybody knows about because of certain songs, and everybody you bring it up, and everybody's gonna talk about Christopher Walken saying that thing that he says about that one song that Blue Oyster Cult did. Don't fear the Reaper. Everybody is going to say exactly. So let's bypass that. And I want to talk about some earlier albums. They did their first album, which is a classic, I think, of just almost like streamlined rock and roll, kind of pop rock. But there was an interesting edge that Blue Oyster Cult had that I always liked, which was this mysterious, mystical strangeness to them. First of all, the name Blue Oyster Cult. It sounds like blue. If you had an oyster that was blue, it's probably poison. So, right, if you eat a blue oyster, you're either going to die or you're going to have hallucinations of some metaphysical realms, where everybody can play guitar solos like Buck Dharma. But I don't know. I think they were into deeper things. I think they were all reading books and fascinated with things like science fiction. They had an association with some science fiction writers. I remember, they did a song based on those the Elric novels by Michael Moorcock. They had the Black Blade song and kind of science fiction stuff, kind of the sort of clever lyrics that were strangely metaphysical and mysterious. And they had that symbol, their inverted question mark cross symbol. And their album covers were always so fascinating and filled, it seemed, with mystery and symbolism and things that you could stare at while you were listening to the music and interpret. And their first album was amazing, but I really like their second album. This album has got a fantastic album cover that will send you into other realms just by looking at it. It's called Tyranny and Mutation, or Tyranny and Mutation, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But this has got the red and the black, OD'd on Life Itself, Hot Rails to Hell, Seven Screaming Dizbusters, and Baby Ice Dog. And I mean, just those song titles are great, but the lyrics are fantastic. The music is great. Buck Dharma, a really cool guitar player, did some of those rockin' solos that just so 70s and so cool. But the songs are really interesting. They did some interesting stuff with the rock format. They weren't like one of those sort of bludgeoning rock bands or even a good kind of a rock band like Bachman Turner Overdrive or Foghat or something like that. I think Blue Oyster Cult was a little bit different from them because I think they tried to sound different to that type of a rock band. Even though they had the distorted guitars and the sort of rock tropes that you might expect, they also had a really cool feel to them, especially in the album that has "Don't Fear the Reaper" on it. That's Agents of Fortune is a really great album. But these early albums, I think, had more of a rock vibe to them. Like just each song is kind of a rock riff, like a riffy rock song. And they're just great. They're really catchy, and they stick with you. And then there's the added bonus of great, mysterious, weird, surrealistic lyrics. This one, and then this one, which I like as well. This one came later, I believe 1973, 74. Could be completely wrong. This one's called Secret Treaties. This is a interesting airplane that it's a German jet that was never really used in World War II, but they developed it. It's an interesting story about this airplane. Anyway, this one has Career of Evil, Subhuman Dominance and Submission, ME-262, which is what this airplane is, an ME-262, and Cagey Cretins, Harvester of Eyes, Flaming Telepaths, Astronomy. can you resist songs with titles like that? And the lyrics are just as strange and mysterious and science fictiony and and fun. I think they always had a bit of a tongue-in-cheek approach to their mysticism, their sort of Blue Oyster Cult mysticism. The occult idea of their music. You can see their symbol on the tail of the plane there instead of a swastika. They read books and knew that the Nazis were into occultism and stuff, and so they were going into those mysterious Raiders of the Lost Ark type realms about history and their songs, and just their conceptual ideas, dominance and submission, and all these other sort of mysterious, provocative terms that they did. And when you think ahead, after this album, and you had their classic "Don't Fear the Reaper." Some people interpreted that as being a song that encourages self-harm, as they say. And it's, I think the band has sort of done interviews and said, no, it's not really about that. It's just sort of about this romance kind of a thing, a Romeo and Juliet-ish kind of a life and death kind of romance type of thing. And I buy that. I don't think anybody, I don't, like Judas Priest got in trouble one time for allegedly causing some mayhem, some deadly mayhem, and they were like, one of the things they said was like, no, we're not encouraging our fans to hurt themselves or take their own lives. Why would we want to do that? We want to sell records, And I don't think bands were doing that with this kind of music. I think they were exploring these strange metaphysical realms and things that young people are interested in at the time. You're kind of exploring your thoughts and your feelings about other mystical beliefs and things like that. And I think it's also just a fantasy world, because obviously they were into fantasy literature, like, the Michael Moorcock stuff, the Elric stories, which they wrote about later. They also did the song Godzilla, and, they did so many cool songs about these science fiction kind of ideas. I think they were just fascinated by those fantasy worlds, and there's nothing to worry about. But anyway, Blue Oyster Cult, big fan of their early stuff, and pretty much all their stuff really, but I have a special place in my heart for their early things. I remember when I was very young, discovering them and feeling like I had discovered something really strange and mysterious. And I sent away, there was a thing in there, it might be in here, I don't know, I haven't checked, but there used to be a thing on their inner sleeve somewhere where it would say, if you wanted the lyrics, you could send in your name, and they would mail you the lyrics printed out on by a computer. Can you imagine how cool? They had a computer, and it printed out their lyrics, and they would send it to you. And I got these lyrics printed out on that sort of computer, that fan fold computer paper that's got the sprockets on the side, and I can't even remember what that paper's called now, but it's a computer paper, and it came in a manila envelope, and it was like, wow, I got something that was printed out of a computer. So cool. Blue Oyster Cult. Anyway, check them out if you haven't listened to them in a while. Even that album, even the album that has Don't Fear the Reaper on it, which is played to death on FM radio and all that, and you've heard it a million times. And now there's like this joke about it that people cannot resist. Forget that stuff and listen to it as though you're hearing it for the first time. It's a great song. What a great guitar hook. And really everything on that album. There's so many interesting, different kinds of songs on that album. Some of these sort of melancholy, interesting story type songs. Maybe I'll talk about that album in another one. But these two, I think, are good rockers. They're fun. They're sort of poppy and very fun albums. Very mysterious and just great stuff. Really evocative of the time. Blue Oyster Cult, thanks for listening to me. And I will talk to you again real soon.